Hey, it's Joseph here. I have unboxed this laptop in my previous video, so if you haven't seen that video already, please do check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And I know some of you have been waiting for quite some time for me to do a full review video of this laptop. So here it is. As you can see, the overall color theme of this laptop is what's called Mercury, which is kind of like a light silver look. So overall, it is looking quite clean with the clean edges as well. It's got the Razer kind of reflective logo in the middle, and it does collect some fingerprints, so do keep that in mind. I'm gonna probably smudge my fingerprint all over it by the time end of this video. And as I have highlighted in my last video, the overall build quality is really solid. Every time I handle this laptop, it is pleasant, just because the solidity of the chassis and just overall weight and sort of heftiness really adds to the quality. So I have been really favoring. Only gripe that I have is sort of the sharp edges, not necessarily the top edge, but where it is most apparent is where this little notch is cut out. That edge could be quite sharp, so if you have a piece of clothing that can actually get caught on it, and the edges are not as, let's say, it's not sanded down. And I think that is just a byproduct of making sure things are milled properly, and they seem to be meeting at a very sharp edges as well. Everything is closing down to virtually nothing. And let's look at the bottom of the laptop. Just wanted to tell you that there are air vents with the nice grippy rubber pads for the feet, and it kind of looks like a face, doesn't it? And when it comes to opening a device, it is good to have that notch cut out, but the magnets, it seems to be a bit too strong. Therefore, if you don't actually put your finger there properly or catch it with your nail, you can actually kind of miss it. So I just opened it just fine there, but if I were to try and get it with my finger, it is quite strong, so you can kind of miss it. So just make sure you tuck your fingernail properly, and then it shouldn't be a problem. The hinge is quite solid, the grip's quite solid, therefore it will open no problem. And because I have covered the ports on my last video as well, I'll just kind of take a glance at it. Micro SD card reader, and then full-size HDMI with a Thunderbolt 4 port on the right side of the laptop, and then on the left there's another Thunderbolt 4 port along with USB Type A and then headphone jack, and that is about it for this laptop. But those are also something that I would only wish for a laptop of this size. Comparably, laptops of this size normally have much less ports than that, so that is good to see. Maybe I could have hoped for one more Type A port, but again, this is plenty of ports. I really like the selection. The fact that they have included full-size HDMI, that is a big plus. And overall physical size of this device, I'm reading as 0.6 inch by 11.6 inch by 7.8 inch. And overall weight is just head over 3 pounds, so it is quite light. Therefore, overall size and weight is really great for just as a ultra light portable device whilst feeling solid. And you might have noticed, but when I open the device, it actually lifts the back of the device ever so slightly. So the hinge takes care of that. As you open, it just kind of lifts up. Let me have you focus on that. So as you open the device, it will lift up the back end of the laptop, therefore allowing you more breathing room and better angle for a keyboard. Not that much, but definitely more room to breathe for the laptop. So that's been kind of trend for a lot of laptops, and that is good to see because of this solid hinge and combination of this grippy rubber that is on the edge of the laptop as well. That comes in contact with your desk, so the sharp edge of the laptop is not digging into your precious tabletop. And whilst we are on the subject of hinges, I did want to mention that this hinge only opens about this much. and I cannot open any further. I have noticed myself needing to go a little bit more than that, but that is something for you to be aware of. But as I have mentioned, overall hinge quality is really solid. Razer seems to know what they need to do in order to get a laptop's hinge just right. And as we open the device, you can see all the bezels around are really thin, top, both sides as well as the bottom. There's minimum amount of bezel and maximum size of screen ratio. And on the tiny little strip that is on the top bezel, they were able to fit 720p webcam as well as Windows IR camera for Windows Hello, and then 4 microphone array for better stereo separation and perhaps noise cancellation. So that is a lot of tech that is embedded on the top edge, the top thin edge here. And let me go ahead and test that webcam and microphone as well. So testing, microphone testing. This is what I sound like through the laptop. And I am looking at the top webcam over there. Microphone testing, 1, 2, 3. I am testing the microphone of the laptop. And in terms of security, whilst it does have Windows IR camera for Windows Hello, it does not contain any fingerprint sensor if you care for such thing. It is not really an issue for me, but I just wanted to mention. And I don't know if you can see at all, but underside of the screen where the bottom bezel is, there's a tiny little Razer logo that is kind of faint, so you can't really see it, but it is there. I actually have asked this unit to be specifically Full HD unit, so 1080p panel on here instead of 4K, which is optional for you, because as I have stated in previous videos, for 13-inch devices, Full HD is completely fine. I can't really discern individual pixels on the device, and is plenty sharp, and it is not introducing extra stuff for computer to calculate, therefore increasing amount of processing, battery usage, as well as heat. Therefore, I have asked for Full HD on this unit, and that is what you are seeing. And for Full HD, you can either get the unit with touch and non-touch. This specific unit happens to be touch, therefore I can actually use touch to control this device as I have just done there. But if you prefer the machine to be non-touch, you can go for that SKU as well. As I personally use 2-in-1 devices as my daily driver, touch feature is something that I'm very accustomed to, and I find it quite useful to my workflow. And then occasionally I'll either hit print screen button or do a screen snip like this, and then I can just capture it like that. And then once the message pops up, and once I am here, I can just click on this one, and then I can just mark it up and then send it over to someone so that they can see what I was talking about that is showing up on my screen. Although it is not complex, but this has been the by far most effective method to share what you're seeing to your colleagues and people that you are working with. And I should also mention the overall screen ratio is 16:10 instead of 16:9, which is kind of more normal screen ratio. And that means that it is slightly taller than other laptops, therefore allowing you to see a bit more information at the bottom of the screen, usually about a couple more lines that you can see. Therefore, the screen is taking up the almost full size of this panel here. Okay, let's go ahead and run this video. Obviously, you can't really tell specific color and brightness over a camera, but I think it looks really great. All the details and colors and brightness is great. So let's look at the keyboard of this device. The only bit that I have noticed that is kind of different to the regular keyboard is the fact that special character of all the number row is actually below the number. So to me, shift is more like shifting up than shifting down. Therefore, finding the character underneath my fingertip was kind of weird to shift onto. And I suppose that is something that you can get used to, but that is something that I hadn't seen before. Although since seeing this, I have seen such thing on different keyboards as well. So that is not completely abnormal, but I just wanted to mention that. And overall feeling of the keyboard is great. So this is what it sounds like when I'm typing. it is more like kind of tactile feel than what I'm used to. The travel isn't as much, but overall I have no problem typing on this. And I also wanted to mention, since it really seems to vary depending on the manufacturer, but on the top right hand corner there is a power button, and then just left of that is the delete key, and the backspace is underneath the power. Therefore, when you're reaching for delete key, you might want to make sure you're not hitting the power button. Although when you accidentally hit the power button, it doesn't really do anything, as they seem to have disabled it when you just hit it quickly. If you hold it down, then it does the normal power function. And there are two keys that are really tiny on this laptop. One is the backslash key that is underneath the backspace, as well as the tilde key that is under the escape key is very tiny as well. But those two keys I don't really typically use, so that's absolutely fine. And also the arrow keys that are for left and right are full size, whereas top and bottom are half keys. I know some people have different preferences, but I wanted to mention that. And it seems like the only feature they have kind of maintained from the gaming laptop manufacturer is the fact that it is a full RGB keyboard. So the keyboard is actually backlit. I don't know if you can see it all that well. Maybe that's clear. It is green, so I kind of left it as a green since the green is sort of the Razer color. But this is all fully controllable, so you can change to breathing RGB if you wish to. For me, I prefer static white maybe, but since this is a white keys and white body, I want to have a bit more contrast so I can actually see the keys better. And for me, green was fine. Normally on a bright light like this, I'll just have it off. That is for the maximum contrast. Oh, by the way, I also wanted to mention that if you were to take a look, when you hit the function button, all the keys kind of turn off except the arrow keys and the function keys that are on the top. So that's quite a nice touch. And on the either side of the keyboard, there's a speaker grill that is positioned firing at you. Therefore, the overall sound is great. Let me have you listen to it. So this is at 50%. Going up to 100. So I don't know if you were able to hear, but there's a little bit of high-pitched buzzing that I can hear. I don't think it is going to blow you out of water, but obviously I don't care all that much about speakers, so I'll let you be the judge. And let's talk about the touchpad of this laptop. Overall, I really like this touchpad. I think by far this is one of the best touchpad that I have tried, and I am a sort of tapper than a clicker. Therefore, I really like the overall solidity. There's no wobble, and also the top is glass, and therefore it is really smooth and it registers all the multi-finger gestures. So I have absolutely no complaints, and I can comfortably rest my palm on either side of the touchpad whenever I am typing. Therefore, there's no accidental touches. The design, size, and the sort of the utility wise, one of the best touchpad that I have used so far. Oh, and if you are a clicker, you might want to know about the sound. So that's what it sounds like. And let's also get into the specs of this device. I'm just gonna read it off the chart here. So it is 11th gen Intel Core i7 1165 G7 quad core processor. It's got Windows 10 Home, and then 13.4 Full HD Matte 60 Hz screen, slim side bezel touch display, up to 178 wide viewing angles, along with Intel Iris Xe graphics, 256 gigabytes of storage, along with 16 gigabytes of dual channel RAM, and per key RGB powered by Razer Chroma anti-ghosting. So that is the specification of this device, and I am actually aware there are 3 different SKUs of this device that is available. One is Full HD non-touch, Full HD touch, and then 4K screen. So you can choose which one you want, but this is sort of the middle one that I have chosen to review. And overall, this laptop is actually advertised as the Evo laptop or Evo certified laptop. What that means is that it is certified by Intel, the CPU manufacturer, saying this laptop meets a couple of its criteria. And one of the things that they look for is the performance and also equipping with 11th gen Intel Core processor, and then it's got Intel Iris Xe graphics. Therefore, it's got enough of graphics horsepower for it to handle the productivity work, as well as it is equipped with a lot of different connection methods such as Wi-Fi 6, and it is also built to have more than 9 hours of battery life when you are doing regular testing. And also this has got Thunderbolt 4, which means high bandwidth to carry out not only the power but also different displays that connects to the device. As I said, because of Xe graphics that the 11th gen Intel cores are equipped with, it is throwing a lot of horsepower in terms of graphics. Obviously, it is not going to match the performance of dedicated graphics card, but they have come quite far in running video editing software such as Adobe Premiere Pro or doing a light rendering. It really wasn't a problem at all. And when it comes to sort of the CAD work such as SketchUp or AutoCAD, zooming around, orbiting around is not a problem with this device, as it's not gonna have problem handling those edges. Well, why don't I just fire up SketchUp and actually test that for you. Okay, and let's connect to a mouse so I can properly test this. So I am screen recording at the moment, and I am able to load up this model, and I can obviously orbit and zoom in and out with fair bit of edges that are shown up in the model, and it doesn't really have problem handling it. And I can kind of zoom out and show you all the stuff that this model contains. So it seems like that's not a problem at all. And because it is not using a dedicated graphics card, it can maintain working like this for quite a long time. Honestly, I had no problem running more than 4 or 5 hours doing this sort of regular 3D task. Okay, let's close this out and test something out on Revit. Okay, so this is the example model that you can get from Enscape that I'm just trying to test out, as I know the complexity of this model. And when I pull up the 3D, you can see that there's quite a bit of trees and the geometry, the families that this one offers. And then I can go down to, let's say, section box, and then once the section shows up, I can actually cut like that, and it is handling all of this and zooming and orbiting feature. Let's go through a couple of drawings as well. First floor, ground floor. There's quite a lot of edges that are showing up here, but that doesn't seem to be a problem at all. So handling Revit wouldn't really be a problem at all unless it is a really complex, heavy model. Even though this laptop has a good graphics performance, you can't really expect it to do full VR experience or heavy real-time rendering stuff on this laptop. Therefore, you may have to consider something like Razer Core X and connect that to the Thunderbolt port and then utilize external GPU. Maybe that is a future video idea. If I can get my hands on one as well as a graphics card at this point in time, then I may be able to do another video covering that. Let me know if you're interested. But for now, we can just kind of benchmark against CPU performance. So let me show you the CPU performance benchmark that I've done through Vray benchmarking, and this is the result. And currently Enscape doesn't support Intel integrated graphics, but you can actually run the web executable and then utilize the graphics horsepower of the device. So I can actually go ahead and launch the standalone that is available through web. And then in here, I'm able to actually move around and then look at this complex model that's been shared as a web standalone file. And moving around like this, obviously the fans will kick off and you'll be able to hear some. But within this complex model, I'm able to swim around, look around, and the view will kind of sharpen up as you leave the scene as they are. And aside from Enscape, I was actually surprised to find that this laptop handles Lumion quite well. Obviously, the model isn't something that is really complex, and also the benchmarking result shows the fact that this laptop is not really for heavy Lumion tasks. However, I was able to run the example files. So here it says critical warning, and the benchmark, everything's kind of below the minimum. But if I were to go and open up one of the example, this is an example that I always use, residential home. And it is going to take some time to load it up, but once it's loaded up, you can actually view inside of this model. So here is a scene, but you can see that I'm able to look around, as well as if I go to the photo mode, I'm able to click on a scene and then preview the scene as well. Let me go to this scene right here, exterior, click on it to preview. So it is not going to be amazingly fast, but it is able to handle some graphics inside of Lumion. That is quite impressive. And mind you, I'm not connected on power. It is running off its battery and doing this. Let me actually close this out so that I put this software out of its misery. And in terms of storage, this device only has 256 gigabytes. Therefore, you may find it a bit too little. And if so, I don't think you are unreasonable. And I personally find 500 or so gigabytes are absolutely fine for laptops. Therefore, if you're needing to upgrade the storage, you can open up the laptop, and apparently it is quite easily accessible. But I usually don't prefer to open devices. So if you're the same, then you can just buy about 200 gigabytes of micro SD card and slot it in here and forget about it. Therefore, kind of doubling up the storage. So that is sort of my temporary solution. Perhaps they should kind of increase to about 512 gigabytes when it comes to storage, but it seems like that's the only hardware spec that I was seeing, much lesser than what I had expected. However, as a highlight, overall battery life is great. I was really impressed as I was seeing that this one has 55 watt hour battery. I left everything as sort of the balance modes, and in terms of Windows battery management, I left it on the second tier that is above the best battery life. When I was doing mid to high performance tasks such as installing softwares and 3D modeling, I was seeing about 5.5 hours, and medium to low web video watching and writing sort of the outline for this video, I was seeing more than 8.5 hours. So you can kind of expect about 9 hours battery life on that regard. And then I kind of left it on idle. About after 16 hours, it decides to just kind of crumble down. So you can expect solid battery life out of this device, and the thermal seems to be solid as well. As you notice, I have this device turned on and I did a quick rendering task, and now it is still on and there's no fan that is going off. So I really like how it is managing the performance, battery, and the thermals. And one thing I did want to also mention is the fact that how fast this device charges. So it supports sort of fast charging. Therefore, if you were to feed 65 watts, just like an OEM charger for this device, it is able to charge a lot quicker than normal devices. Therefore, I was seeing about taking 8 minutes going from 0 to 10%, and then 25 minutes going from 0 to 30%, and I was seeing about 1.5 hours to get this laptop completely from 0 to 100%. And if you were to do math, it is about 1% per minute, which is quite impressive. You don't have to leave this laptop charging for hours for it to go from 0 to 100. And again, because this device is able to charge through USB-C power delivery ports, you can have a lot of chargers lying around to connect this device. Therefore, I can have USB-C cables like this that is permanently on the desk, and I can just easily connect to charge. So therefore, you don't really have that much concern of this device running out of its power, as it can easily charge, as well as it is going to last quite a long time. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about the price of this device. As I have said, only sort of gripe that I had was the amount of storage that this device. Otherwise, it's bringing solid performance, solid build quality, solid battery, all of the above that I have mentioned. And as another fellow designer, I really gotta appreciate the overall design that they are doing. As I have said, there are 3 different SKUs that are available. The cheapest tier that is available is $1199.99, and then the second one, this specific one here, is $1599.99, and then the highest tier is $1999.99. Therefore, it is the 4K screen and everything that you can get. For about $1,600, this device is available. And obviously, you're going to be able to find occasional sales that are going on for Razer devices. I do see them quite often, so you may be able to find something that is lesser than $1,600 for this specific SKU. And for a professional device like this, people are looking to pay a bit of premium so that you're getting much higher quality device. And I really appreciate the look and feel, as well as the performance that Razer have put together for professionals like myself, who's just looking to do the task, not necessarily game all the time. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll leave affiliated links as well as the product page for this specific laptop, so you guys could also find it. If you have liked this content, please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to continue watching these type of videos. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Bye.